journey. All you have to do is follow my voice.
We're closed.
Welcome, everybody. You are getting Lost in Plot, the show where we focus on story first, but not exclusively, across the mediums of film, television, video games, really anything with a story. I'm Wade, that's my brother Jake, and today we have for you Reminiscence. Let's go get lost in the plot for Reminiscence. This is your spoiler warning. There's going to be some spoilers here. We're going to go through this story up, down, and sideways, so let's go get into it. So Nick Bannister, a private investigator of the mind, navigates the darkly alluring world of the past by helping his clients access lost memories. Living on the fringes of the sunken Miami coast, his life is forever changed when he takes on a new client, May. Simple matter of lost and found becomes a dangerous obsession. As Bannister fights to find the truth about May's disappearance, he uncovers a violent conspiracy and must ultimately answer the question, how far would you go to hold on to the one you love?
How far would you go?
Take it easy. Reminiscence is textbook film noir, and that's not good in this case. It's like it was written off a template. The femme fatale visits the PI, she sets him up, and then he races to find the truth before it's too late. Fine. But aside from the sci-fi veneer, Reminiscence isn't giving us anything new. It plays like a memory of good film noir but comes off as a cheap impersonation. So the sensory tank that allows clients to revisit memories is meant to be the new twist on an old story, but it can't cover for the stilted dialogue and boring plot. There's nothing memorable here. Shallow as a puddle of piss.
Boy, you really covered it well with that synopsis. But I think calling this guy a private eye or a private investigator is a massive stretch. This protagonist sets up where he basically has this little memory machine where he invites people in to indulge in nostalgia. Now,
You lose your car keys, you come to this guy and he'll help you remember what you did with them.
Can you think of a less...
He's the detective,
a
right
less
there.
interesting...
He'll scrub through your memories and find out where you left
If you're
the
going
keys.
to... This machine allows you to relive memories. Can you think of a less interesting way to dig into it than, I've lost my keys, sir. Can I use your memory machine so that I can find it? Like, come on. With this guy, all he does is set people up to use his memory machine and to let them revisit memories of the past and live in nostalgia. Now, that's topical. Present day, we've got a lot of that going on. There's something that can be said there. But boy, oh boy, does it not explore that in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's kind of jettisons. It's kind of a shallow kind of gimmick to the whole plot here.
It's an idea that's never explored. It's used topically, but it's not ever probed.
There you go. So let's find out who didn't explore, who didn't probe this great idea.
How far would you go
With
who wrote someone you love?
All right.
That's right. Now, say my name.
So who wrote this? It's Lisa Joy. Lisa Joy wrote and directed this. This is her directorial debut.
Good for you, Lisa.
So let's have a look at Lisa Joy's credits here, starting with the HBO series Westworld, the adaptation of the Michael Crichton book.
Westworld.
Yeah, Westworld. Now, I absolutely loved the first season of Westworld.
We both.
First season of Westworld, I'd probably give the first season of that an 8.
Well,
An 8, maybe
hey,
slightly
there's
higher.
brilliance in that first season of Westworld,
A
but
lot.
it is not without some substantial missteps.
Sure.
If you remember some of those episodes.
Yeah.
But most of it is particularly compelling work.
Mm-hmm. The second season of Westworld was dog shit. It was horrible. Horrible. I'd probably have that down at a 2.
It degraded the first season of Westworld.
It really did. It crashed the whole thing. It's one of those series where, and maybe I'll do a video on this at some point, but you watch a series and then there's one episode. There's one episode that airs and it breaks the whole world. This has happened to a few series in the past. I know which ones, and Westworld is absolutely one of them. There is an episode in season 2 that just breaks the whole world, and everything falls apart. Everything you've watched, all the time you've invested, gone. So I can't even talk about the ending for season 2. But they tried to reboot and come back into season 3 with this whole new take on it. It's a completely different show. I watched the pilot episode for that. Might as well call it a pilot. It's like a new show. and I didn't watch any further. I was done with it after that. Now, she's co-created Westworld with Jonathan Nolan, who is Christopher Nolan's brother. Jonathan Nolan is an extremely talented writer. He co-wrote a lot of these episodes with her on Westworld. I think he has a producer credit on Reminiscence, but this is Lisa Joy out on her own. She wrote it. She directed it. This is Reminiscence. You can see on the credits at Westworld. The audience still has this pretty high up at an 8.2.
It's because that first season was good.
Because of the first season. I mentioned how much I hated the other 2 seasons. That's why I have it down at a 4. And then Reminiscence is coming in at a pretty low audience score of only a 5.2. So there's something happening here with Reminiscence, and you're going to be our private investigator and break this story.
I'm the memory man, so let's get to it. All right, I'm going to do a Riddler impression for this one, so here we go. Riddle me this, Batman. What do you call a mystery no one cares about? Well, you call it this goddamn movie, that's for sure. The most remarkable thing about Reminiscence is how unremarkable it is over 2.5 hours of runtime. With a hard-boiled protagonist that really wants to be neo-noir with his monologues about the city streets that are awash, flooded. We've got the femme fatale lounge singer who's not quite what she seems, and the entire thing is just kind of flat throughout. Not particularly offensive, but not particularly interesting over the course of 2.5 hours. And that, not particularly good. And it becomes very difficult to pull out one thing when there's nothing in particular that really inspires you about this film. Now, the technology itself, this memory machine, Hugh Jackman is the memory man. And it's employed in such a way that people can indulge in nostalgia, which I thought was an interesting idea. And it's highlighted in the trailers, which had me excited for this particular movie. But again, as I've stated earlier, not particularly explored. And if you're interested in that concept of re-exploring memories, what I would recommend to you is Strange Days, a film written by James Cameron, directed by Catherine Bigelow, came out in the 90s, starring Ray Fiennes. And if you want to see something that actually takes advantage of its premise a little bit better than this film, I would direct you back to that, because this hard-boiled detective neo-noir nonsense just not getting the job done for me. No one's going to be sinking into the memory machine to revisit their time spent watching this, is what I'll tell you. This is, it's like you grabbed a dusty old noir script from the 1940s and you just kind of said, well, I'll throw a little memory machine in there because we've got some special effects and dust this off and do nothing different. And that's exactly how it plays. There's nothing new here. There's nothing interesting. The memory machine is a flimsy facade that's kind of tacked on to kind of gain interest, but it works. It gives you a good trailer. It gives you some intrigue, but when you sit down to watch this, it's boring. I know it's Lisa Joy's first directorial debut. This is not particularly well written. It's not well directed. It's not well acted. I have to say, I thought this film was horribly miscast in a number of areas. It's a diverse cast. It's also a horribly miscast cast. And there's some really poor performances here. I am going to call her out and say Thandie Newton I thought was awful as the loyal sidekick kind of detective to Hugh Jackman's Nick Bannister. I thought her character was just dreadful, and her delivery on some of the stilted noir dialogue was very painful to listen to as well. So this film's got a lot of problems with it. Not a very good script is a big one. No, and that's really what it is. I don't fault the actors to a great extent. I think Hugh Jackman's game for this role. Hugh Jackman's fine. He plays it always Hugh Jackman. I thought Rebecca Ferguson has an ocean of talent, and we barely scratched the surface. She's miscast here. Yeah, she does not fit this part at all. Now, Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson from The Greatest Showman were in that movie, and they actually had some chemistry. In this movie, there's none. And that's a problem, because this film runs on one of two things. Either the mystery is so compelling and so intriguing that it hooks you in. Fail. It does not. No. Or the romance and the chemistry between Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson is so strong that you need to see them back together. Fail. That doesn't happen anyways. So you get neither the mystery nor the romantic chemistry, and buddy, you got 2.5 hours to go on this one. And that's basically what it feels like. And the supporting characters all suck. St. Joe, or whoever was that actor who played that character sucked. The main crooked cop that keeps popping up and has half of his face burned off, he sucked. He was bad.
And then I already mentioned Thandie Newton in her role. So I thought a lot of poor performances here. Good effects. Things looked good.
Great cinematography.
Let's not beat a dead horse. Let's just get to dead horse.
Well, I mean, give the guy credit. He did a good job. But now we'll go.
The
We'll go to
cinematographer?
Yeah, he did a good job.
Good job.
I thought there were pretty good shots and sprawling vistas. But in any event, let's get to Dead or Alive and find out where we come down on Reminiscence.
Here we go with Dead or Alive for Reminiscence. You know, on the HBO release schedule, this one wasn't really talked up too much. It was just kind of there, tucked in towards the end of August, and suddenly it came out, and you thought, why didn't this get more attention, more press? Now we know why. Because it is dead. Dead with a 3 out of 10. This one was a bore all the way through. I forgot it as soon as I was done watching it. I don't have too much more to say about Reminiscence here.
No, for me, it's the same. It's dead. It's a 4 out of 10. This was not a particularly...
4?
Yeah, it's a 4 out of 10. I really like Hugh Jackman. I really like Rebecca Ferguson. What the heck was this? This was just a mess. What's most haunting about this movie is about how thoroughly bland it is the entire way. Like, they can't even accidentally stumble upon something of interest. And that kind of scares me a bit, because these are the most talented people in the industry are given, ungodly sums of money to produce this thing. And this is what they put.
Well, Lisa Joy wrote, directed, and produced this, so she had all the input in the world. And it's perfectly okay to follow a template for a classic noir. People love classic noir.
Yeah.
But you got to leave your mark on it. You got to do something that distinguishes it. This wasn't distinguishable at all.
Yeah, just disappointing. There's no sequence that's particularly remarkable. There's no character that's remarkable or interesting.
Wasted premise.
The world building is
wasted world and a wasted
extremely
premise.
shallow. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's not particularly great, and it's really long too, which doesn't help it one bit.
Not one bit. That's all we've got for Reminiscence. We'll just kill it right there. It is dead. It is dead. So why don't you take us out?
It's dead for both of us. Reminiscence is not something that we're going to remember. You know, it had me hankering back for the days of when I remember watching Hugh Jackman in Prisoners. You remember that movie where Jake Gyllenhaal stars
Dennis
opposite?
Villeneuve.
He has such a fiery performance in that movie. I invite you all to go back and watch Prisoners instead of this turd.
Much better.
That was just released. Guys, did you watch this movie? If you did, please share your thoughts and feedback. Is there anybody who really likes this movie and found something redeeming in it? Please let us know in the comments down below. If you like this segment, please give us a thumbs up. If you loved it, consider a subscription. Check us out on Twitter. And guys, we will see you all on the next one.